Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the June 29th, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. As the hour is 6:30 p.m., I'm calling the meeting to order. For the next half hour, the board will be downstairs conducting 3 board interviews. We will return to the Novak room promptly, hopefully, at 7 p.m. to conduct our regular business meeting. Thank you.
For this week's report, a look at the history of Exeter's train station. Updates from the Exeter Public Library. SAU 16 updates from Blue Hawk Media. And Rains Barn renovations are completed. For Exeter TV, I'm Bob Glowacki from the Exeter TV production office in the historic Town Hall, and this is the Exeter Biweekly Report. Let's get started. Good afternoon, Exeter. Thanks for tuning into the show today. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button and like this video to help spread word about the show and all things Exeter. You can also head over to the town website and subscribe to the town's email newsletter to get this show and other local news sent straight to your inbox. For our first segment, to better understand the potential future of Exeter's train station ahead of an August public input session, we explore the history of the railroad and the structures built along the tracks over the years.
Today in Exeter, most of the town's business is conducted out by Portsmouth Ave. It's where residents can find grocery stores, restaurants, and many of the essential services people use every day. But it wasn't always this way. Even before the town was founded in 1638, indigenous people congregated along the falls where the Exeter and Squamscott rivers meet. The center of activity was down by the river. The tidal Squamscott served as Exeter's original highway. Ships carried lumber, manufactured goods, and people between Exeter and the outside world. Mills and businesses clustered along the waterfront to harness the power of the river and use it for transportation. But in the 1840s, along came the railroad, which reshaped the town itself. The first station on record was located at the Front Street Crossing. When constructed in 1840, the rail line ended here in town. It was there that Abraham Lincoln arrived into Exeter. Parts of the structure were taken down, and some still remain as a house on Arbor Street. As the Boston and Maine Railroad extended north, industry was attracted to this new method of transportation. The town constructed new and better stations with more services, creating a new hub of activity. In 1867, Lincoln Street Depot opened, equipped with a full restaurant, and stood until a fire in 1890. The current depot, present-day home to Jerry's, was built to replace it in 1892, and while it had no restaurant, it housed telegraph services and continued to function as a new gateway to town.
The entire transportation hub and the whole industrial center of Exeter shifts from the waterfront area on Water Street, where everything came in by the river, and it shifts to the western part of the town. Just a lot of industries that suddenly built in that area. And so that brought people to that part of town as well.
The train station changed everything. People were able to commute to Boston for work. Businesses could transport their goods. And when combined with another form of public transport, it opened the door to tourism in the area.
The train connected with the streetcars, and the streetcars were unique because that allowed ordinary citizens to get out to Hampton Beach really quickly. We have an account of a young man in the 1860s who walks to Hampton Beach. Now he is a young, fit 19-year-old, and it takes him 2 hours to walk to the beach. So I mean, that was a long haul. So you couldn't do that if you were a mother with a few little children. Or anything like that. You had to hire a coach or some way of getting to the beach if you wanted to get there. It wasn't something you could do. And after the streetcars came, 10 cents and you could all go to the beach for the day and be home by dinner time. It just changed a lot of things for people.
Exeter as a whole was reliant on trains and public transport until a brand new technology was created and once again changed the town.
The first cars come in the early 1900s, and at first they're just toys for the rich. And every time someone bought a car, it would be in the paper. So-and-so has bought an automobile. But they were seen as unreliable. They broke down a lot. They were difficult to use. But car use, because of the convenience of being able to get into your car and go wherever you wanted, at the drop of a hat, that convenience just was wonderful for people. They liked it. Women could drive cars and they were enclosed and safe. So I think that really changed things.
This increase in car use is what led to the eventual decline of passengers using the train.
And by the 1960s, so few people were using it, it wasn't something that you could make a profit on. And so gradually, rail service just decreases and decreases. And by 1967, there were a lot of people who had never been on a train at all. And that's when they finally decided to stop rail service for passengers. It seemed like everybody wanted a car. And so the supermarkets, for instance, that had been down on Water Street start to shift, and they move out to Portsmouth Avenue, because rather than people just doing all their marketing on one day of the week or having their food delivered, they wanted to go and pick things out. Supermarkets changed. And they needed parking all around it. And so the commercial center of Exeter shifts to Portsmouth Avenue because there were large lots where you could get out to park. It was convenient.
Passenger service in Exeter ceased operation in 1967, but that wasn't the end of the story. Advocates in New Hampshire, Maine, and Massachusetts wanted to see trains return. Among those advocates was Seacoast local Bob Hall, who worked to make Exeter's train station part of that mission.
Back in about 1989, I read an article in the Portsmouth Herald. That article was about a group of people that are going to meet in Portland that were interested in restoring passenger service between Boston and Portland. And I said, boy, I know the tracks in town, and all my life I've heard the whistles blow, and if you live in or around Exeter, you sure hear the whistles. I think nationally and here, people realize that the car isn't the answer. And while I agree that people love to be able to drive from their front door to the front door of their work, the front door of wherever they're going to go, you know, there's a time and a place with the number of people we have now that maybe that's not the answer. And the more it costs to do those things, it's going to make people say, maybe there should be another choice out there.
25 years ago, in December of 2001, the train advocates welcomed the first passenger train back to Exeter. For the first time in 34 years, passengers could embark from a newly constructed platform adjacent to the former station. The future of the Exeter train station is still an ongoing discussion across town. On Friday, August 7th at the Lincoln Street School, there will be a public design session where Exeter locals can voice their opinion about what they want to see in a future train station.
We need to have a welcoming place in Exeter. The train station was the center of the community. Why not again?
For more information about the public design session, you can visit the town website at exeternh.gov.
Up next, Gabe took a trip over to Chestnut Street to learn more about upcoming programs and events happening at the Exeter Public Library.
Hi, my name is Julia Lanter, your Exeter Public Library Director, and I am very excited to present to you Camp Cryptid. Camp Cryptid is our teen summer reading program here at Exeter Public Library. If you have someone that you love, ages 11 to 18, they should be hanging out at the library this summer to catch all the creepy crawlies like Bigfoot and the Jersey Devil. We'll have hidden cryptids around the library. Each week you get to catch a different cryptid. So come on to see if you can catch them all at the library. If you're not into hide and seek, you can also win some candy. So we've got some sweet treats for all our teens who come in to use the library. All you have to do is come in and check out any item from our teen scene, and you get a piece of candy as well as a prize like a cryptid button or cryptid sticker. If you are looking for a cryptid program to attend, be sure to pick up Camp Cryptid, our flyer. It'll give you a whole calendar of events for the summer. It is summertime at Exeter Public Library. That means it's time for you to pick up your family and households Exeter Public Library Summer Reading Calendar. This is your one-stop shop for all the events that will be going on at Exeter Public Library that are summer related. That includes our special 250th celebration programming. So stop by the library today to pick up your calendar. This is also available online if you would like to go paperless. We want to make sure we keep the earth clean at Exeter Public Library. And now it's time to talk about children at the library in summer. If you have children under the age of 11, we have lots of summer program for them here at Exeter Public Library. And Edward is here with me to give you a hint at the theme this year, which is Read, White, and Blue. So we're having a patriotic themed reading program for children here at Exeter Public Library. Part of the program includes fun Wednesday events. They all start at 1 o'clock. And if you pick up our Read, White, and Blue programming flyer, you'll see a listing of all the fun and exciting events we have every Wednesday all summer long at Exeter Public Library. This includes things like live music, a pet show, a art class, and a wildlife encounter. So come to the library to see all the red, white, and blue fun and have a fun and safe summer at Exeter Public Library. And finally, for our 250th celebration fun, here at the library, we hope to see everyone on July 1st for our big summer reading kickoff party. It's going to be at 1 o'clock in the park next to the library, and we're going to have some great old-time games to play. Bring a picnic if you want to spend time and have lunch afterward, and it's going to be fun for all ages are welcome. So we hope to see everyone on July 1st at 1 o'clock at Exeter Public Library. The week after, Wednesday, July 8th, we have an all-town movie event. It's going to be right here at Exeter Public Library. We're going to be viewing a very famous patriotic musical. We're not allowed, due to copyright laws, to tell you the musical name, but if you call the library, we can tell you what it is right away. So be sure to call the library about this event. It will start at 5:30 p.m., and there will be spaces for children, teens, and those who hate people who talk during a movie. We have 4 separate viewing areas, and the one that's my favorite is the one that's the community sing-along. So you'll be sure to catch me there on July 8th at 5:30, and be sure to bring your singing voices. Thank you all for listening to this Minute with Exeter Public Library. We are so excited about the summer reading program we've built for you this year. There's something for everyone at Exeter Public Library. Hope to see you soon.
Lots is happening within the SAU 16 school district. Here's a preview of their latest edition of 60 and 16 with Blue Hawk Media.
Good morning, SAU 16. This is Superintendent of Schools Chris Andriski with your last installment of 60 and 16 for the 25-26 school year. First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Eric Chellis for shooting all the videos and editing them every other week for us so they can distribute to all the different families and communities in SAU 16. I also want to thank all the students, staff, and our community members that have taken part in these 60s and 16 throughout the year to highlight the amazing work that is being done and celebrate all the successes. This last video is a culmination of everything we've done throughout the year. So again, thank you SAU 16, and I'll see you in August.
So this group of students here, they are now currently second and third graders, but as first and second grade students, they were the kickstart to our fundraising efforts for our outdoor classroom.
This is our hydroponics garden. We share the food we grow. Sometimes we eat it too.
Our monthly community assemblies, which we call Swayze Shindigs. What's really cool about that is it is student run. Every month, a different grade level is hosting the shindig, and we do it outside when the weather is good in our kind of outdoor amphitheater hill. And
one of our core values in Kensington is about creating positive community culture, and they've been doing some pretty neat things in second grade that they're going to talk about being part of their community. So Jack is going to talk with us first about a field trip that they went on this week to the Peas Greeters.
So when Where we went on the P-scooters, we were the first class to go in 5 years. And we went there because we were gonna make the community a better place.
Watch the full 60 and 16 update on Blue Hawk Media to learn more about all things SAU 16. For our last segment, we were invited to tour the newly renovated Rains Barn ahead of an upcoming open house.
When traveling down Newfields Road, there's a particularly large barn sitting on the base of an open meadow. Anybody who knows their Exeter history knows that this is Rains Farm, a property that in recent years needed some serious love and care.
The property figured prominently in Exeter's history. It was a place where cattle drovers from all over New England brought their cattle here and allowed them to rest in the field and build up strength before they were sent on to the Brighton Cattle Market in Boston. And so in the early days, this property brought in a lot of economic value to the town because Exeter at the time was a cow town.
Over time, that value went away. The barn began to struggle year after year, and it was decided something needed to be done.
Rains Farm was acquired in 2002-2003 with a grant from the Land Community Heritage Investment Program. The Conservation Commission was really interested in protecting this property because of the natural resources that are on site. They wanted to protect the agricultural fields for the grassland habitat that they support. It's also a significant historical structure, and large functional barns just are very uncommon in New Hampshire. So the Conservation Commission has approached LCHIP, Land Community Heritage Investment Program, many times for grants. Some of them were significant in that they needed to secure the foundation. That was in the early days, so the barn was lifted up and the foundation was secured. The residents of town voted in support of roof repair and replacement, and so we really had a lot of the big work, but some of the day-to-day structural things needed some more attention. And so instead of doing small bites at the apple and trying to make slow repairs, we were worried that the barn would degrade over time. So we opted to apply for an additional LCHIP grant to address all of the remaining repair work. So that included clapboard repair and replacement, window repair and replacement, some additional structural support work that was done, both upstairs and in the basement, flooring, and a whole host of other repairs.
With grants achieved, work on the barn began in 2022.
Stephen Bedard did an awesome job. He's been working here for several years now to get this up, get everything replaced. We replaced a lot of the sheathing, replaced all the siding, did all the windows, did a lot of structural work inside, did some flooring. There was a lot to do here. There was a lot of debris, rubble. Stephen, under his guidance, he was awesome. He is the guy that drove this whole thing and really did it in a way that will last long after we're all dust. A lot has been done to make it safe and better in appearance. We're just excited to get it open to the public.
And now, here it is. Rains Barn returned to its former glory.
So the property itself is stunning. When you come to this property, you see it shining in its original design, its original power. And so to me, it's very emotional to come here. I hope that people come here, feel so thankful and happy about the grants that were achieved to support that, and that we come here to recognize it as a showcase piece for town.
So let's take a look inside.
Cattle were in this section, and so from that process, the floorboards from the manure and just use, the floorboards were really significantly damaged. So he replicated the same materials and replaced the flooring. One of the cool things about being in the barn is the Exeter Historic Society had several items that were in Peter Smith's barn, and so they brought them here. We have a long-term lease agreement with them, and so by having those items in the barn, the public can see, for example, what a horse-drawn sidewalk snowplow used to look like, or an old carriage. In my opinion, this is the showcase of the barn. Would you agree, Keith?
I love it down here.
This, to me, is where you sort of get a sense of how operations worked, right? So the milking happened here. You still have the stanchions, so you can envision a cow with its head through the middle and the watering stations on the side. Keith did a tremendous amount of work to clean this facility, this part of the barn up, so that you can really see a lot of the features. So we're really hoping to kick off several events in the barn. We're planning for an Art in the Barn event in the fall. So we're looking for artists to submit materials by the end of the month. It's a $10 deposit that you'll get back when we get the canvas. And the profits of the sale at the showcase later this fall would go toward maintaining, repairing the barn, hosting events at the barn. We're going to have an open barn event where we will open the property up to the public. People are welcome to come out here. We'll have activities and fun things to do. We'll also honor some of the members of the Conservation Commission. And then lastly, we're sort of working through this longer term visions. Maybe a Friends of Rains Farm nonprofit could be an option, or some sort of opportunity like that to really have a sustaining group of volunteers host events and come up with the ideas and do the planning.
There's a lot that can be done here. We really need to, as Kristen mentioned, a nonprofit. We need a Friends of Rains barn. We need people to come out and help host events. The future's wide open. We need people to help mold what that might be. I think it's important that people know that this is their property. It's public property. Come out and use it. There's 50 acres here. It's awesome. I think it's very important that we get a lot of youth involved. That's the future. I think life gets busy and people have a lot of things going on. You bring your kids out here and then someday that happens to them and they say, hey, when I was a kid, I went out to this farm and it was awesome, and they get involved and they love it. I think when people come here, they will love this property, and I think that's what will help preserve this barn. What this barn needs is use. This property needs people to come out and love it.
To celebrate the completion of renovations, the Conservation Commission invites the public to see the barn up close at an open house on July 18th. Stop by to step back into history and see the barn in its restored glory.
That does it for this week's report. Be sure to like, share, and subscribe to help us spread the word. And head over to the town website and subscribe to the town's email newsletter to get this show and other local news sent straight to your inbox. Be sure to tune in on July 3rd for the next edition of the show, where we'll have a special patriotic theme show and a big announcement from Exeter TV. For Exeter TV, I'm Bob Glowacki, and this has been the Exeter Biweekly Report. Have a great weekend, Exeter.
Welcome back to the June 29, 2026 Town of Exeter Select Board meeting. The board called the meeting to order at 6:30 p.m. Went downstairs for 3 board interviews, but here we are to commence our regular business meeting. Hello and good evening to my colleagues on the board, respective town staff, those in attendance this evening, and certainly those watching at home. I'd like to start by introducing the board. To my right, Selectman Dan Chartrand. Good evening.
Good evening, Mr. Chair.
Our Vice Chair, Selectwoman Molly Cowan. Good evening.
Hi, everyone.
To my left, our clerk, Selectwoman Nancy Belanger.
Good evening, everyone.
Selectwoman Julie Gilman. Good evening.
Good evening.
To my right, our Town Manager, Paul Cohen. Good evening. Good evening. And our Recording Secretary, Joanna Bartel. Good evening. My name is Nico Papakostendis. We're going to start this evening with something that the Police Department and the Select Board started several years ago under Chief Poulin and continues under Chief McCain, and that is swearing in new officers and bringing the officers and their families to the board so that we can meet them, those at home watching can meet them and see the swearing in. So I'm very happy, Chief McCain, that we're continuing with this quite awesome tradition. So this evening, we're going to be swearing in our new police officer, Christopher Dowd. Welcome to the Town of Exeter Police Department. I think Christopher's girlfriend, Katie, is going to be pinning him after he's sworn in. And Chief McCain has a few words before we do that.
Everyone here, I appreciate the hospitality as always. I think last time I brought you 4.
You're slacking.
Chris is a welcome addition to it, and we're excited to have him on our team. Again, this goes into, it reflects the Exeter Police Department's continued commitment and becoming fully staffed and providing the town of Exeter with the type of officers that can give back to the community. I'll say a couple quick words, and you'll realize, Chris is a special one. He's a Southern New Hampshire native, a recent graduate of Salem State University with a criminal justice degree. He earned his bachelor's degree in criminal justice. During the time at Salem State, he distinguished himself both as an academic and as well on the ice as a collegiate hockey player. Demonstrating that type of discipline, teamwork, and commitment that will help our team and ultimately the residents of Exeter. Chris is scheduled to attend the 204th New Hampshire Police Academy. It begins in late August. We have 2 officers that we swore in last time that are currently there, finishing up the 203rd Police Academy. So we'll be getting them back, but we'll be giving them Chris. And hopefully we'll get one more in. And so Chris will have a partner in crime. No pun intended. But we'll get him. And ultimately, we'll get them back, Chris and hopefully another one, back sometime, and they'll be on a solo status towards the end of the year. So that will bring us really close to getting close to full staff, which is good things, and it's all the great things that this town supports us, what we're doing over at the PD, the officers that we have that are training all these officers that we're bringing out and bringing the next generation of Exeter police officer. So with that being said, I introduce everyone to Christopher Dowd. He's as his wonderful family and extended family here today to watch him do this. I remember the first time that I was sworn in. It's a special occasion, and we're always happy to share it with the residents that are watching, with the select board as well, and we appreciate the hospitality with this.
Thank you.
So, thank you.
And I think we have our town clerk here.
So Chris, why don't you stand up?
I'm going to have you stand here. Raise your right hand. Repeat after me. I, Christopher Dowd of Exeter, New Hampshire.
I, Christopher Dowd of Exeter, New Hampshire.
Do solemnly swear and affirm.
Do solemnly swear and affirm.
That I will bear faithful.
That I will bear faithful.
And true allegiance.
And true allegiance.
To the United States of America.
To the United States of America.
And the state of New Hampshire.
And the state of New Hampshire.
And will support the constitutions thereof.
And will support the constitutions thereof.
So help me God.
So help me God.
I, Christopher Dowd.
I, Christopher Dowd.
Do solemnly and sincerely.
Do solemnly and sincerely.
Swear and affirm.
Swear and affirm.
That I will faithfully and impartially.
That I will faithfully and impartially.
Discharge and perform.
Discharge and perform.
All the duties incumbent on me.
All the duties incumbent on me.
As a police officer.
As a police officer.
According to the best of my abilities.
According to the best of my abilities.
Agreeable to the rules and regulations.
Agreeable to the rules and regulations.
Of the Constitution.
Of the Constitution.
And enforce the laws.
And enforce the laws.
Of the state of New Hampshire.
Of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Welcome. Congratulations and welcome.
Congratulations. At this time, Katie, if you'll come up. Go ahead and pin Christopher's badge on him. Perfect. So again, that concludes this part of it. I wish I had more for you, but I'll get them at the next one. We will take everyone out, and we'll take photos out there and let you guys continue on with your meeting and return in a little bit.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Thank you again.
Congratulations, Officer Dowd.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Yeah. So before we get to public comment, I'd like to offer a recognition to the Daughters of the American Revolution who placed first place in a national video contest. And I'd like to just read from this briefly, if I may. The DAR received notification from the National DAR that the Exeter chapter was awarded first prize in the video contest from the DAR National PR and Media Committee. The certificate will be attached to the New Hampshire packet at DAR Continental Congress in Washington, D.C. at the end of the month. New Hampshire State Region Maryland Houston has been notified. And we'd like to offer our congratulations again to the local chapter of the DAR. Amazing recognition. With that, I will open it up to public comment. This is an opportunity for members of the public to come forward with any comment to the board. We do ask that if your comments are relative to the agenda item, that you wait till that agenda item comes up. But with that, I'll pause and invite people up. And if you could just state your name and address for the record, sir.
Yeah, Mark Furlong, 24th Street. I actually had a public comment for you 2 weeks ago, but you skipped over it, and I was walking out of the meeting when you called for it. But I had a suggestion for an addition to your agenda, which is to have a section for items scheduled for the next meeting. I know it may not be all-inclusive, but I've seen that done in other places, and it can be helpful. I think it puts the board, the staff, and residents on notice that something's coming up.
Great, thank you.
The second thing is, following up from our last meeting, I appreciate the effort by the board to get the meeting on the agenda for the Park Street Bridge. I wanted to let you know that we've formed a neighborhood group from the Park Street, Oak Street neighborhood. We have over 30 members already. We've been meeting on a regular basis. We've appointed a liaison to the town who's already met once with Nico, and we appreciate that. So we're not all going to be talking to you at once. We're going to try to come with one voice. And at your next meeting, we plan on presenting you with a petition shared by the group and also by our neighborhood, and who have similar concerns about the current condition and status of the bridge. Thank you.
Thank you. So, Mr. Furlong, I have met with a member of your neighborhood and reviewed some of the questions and concerns with the town manager's office as well as Public Works. And unless anything changes, I think you probably all know by now, because I let her know July 13th, we plan on offering an update. So we'll be looking forward to the community showing up and having a conversation with us, giving us your petition. And again, I'm volunteering or committing myself to continue to meet with you as a group or your liaison as appropriate. So appreciate the cooperation, the communication, and the collaboration. And I think that's important moving forward. And then to your first point, we will take that under advisement and consider the suggestion. And I will offer my apologies to you, because when I got home the other night, I realized that I had skipped right over public comment, because I figured I knew why you were all here. So that one's on me, but I'm glad you came tonight. Thank you. Any other public comment? Mr. Whitehouse, good evening.
Hello. Keith Whitehouse, West Side Drive. I was here to ride you like a rented mule about Pearpoint Park. No, I'm just kidding you. So I'm here so while I am a member of the Conservation Commission, I'm speaking for myself this evening. I have some concerns about the proposed auto dealership on Portsmouth Avenue. I've been down in that hole and looked that over and trying to understand a 23-foot retaining wall, which is the second step of this. There's a lot of details to it. I'm not going to go into all those tonight, but I'm a visual person, right? So I kind of measured out what that is and how I wanted to show you how tall that would be. So this room is 14 feet, right? So 23 feet.
I know.
This is the depth, correct?
This is how high it is.
That's the height.
right?
The height of it.
So that's 18, 22, 21. I'll be outside.
Just be careful of the stairs.
So it's 23 feet long. right?
Come on back in.
So that's how high that's going to be.
Maybe give him the
Require
mic.
hundreds of truckloads to fill that area. I've been down in there, so, from an observer's standpoint, you can usually tell about how the high water mark on, say, an astronomical high tide on a river by the trash. You can also tell if there's been some flooding in addition to an astronomical high tide by the trash. So the trash has come up pretty high to this area. Typically you get like a bottle or a plastic bottle that would float. So you look at where the trash line goes and you can see how high it went. It's pretty close. And it's wetlands. I'm very concerned that we are somehow sort of permitting this to happen, and I'm not sure why when the Conservation Commission, again, I'm speaking for Keith, is opposed. And it seems to be moving forward. So I think all of you know this already. I'm more or less trying to let the public know about this, and that it's a very real concern of many people. The methodology that was used seemed, look into it, is what I would say. And I appreciate your time here. I'm very concerned that perhaps in some of these issues, bridge maybe as well, that we're in the back seat. I think we need to claw over into the front seat and drive. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good night, you guys.
Good night, Keith.
Good night.
Any other public comment?
My public comments don't match up with my kids' expectations of my behavior. Hi, my name is Megan Raimondo. I live at 71 Park. We are just very concerned about the train bridge. We just went, why I'm late, among other things. Losing milkshake bottles was one. But we went around the same traffic area that everybody else has to take to go around the train bridge to get here. And it added time to our bike ride tonight to be here. Safety, yeah. I think the vehicle that went across the bridge was probably very heavy to make the dent in the bridge that caused the state to come out to inspect the bridge, to say it's not good, but we're connected to the bridge. We finally arrived when we got here. I don't want this town to be like all the other towns in the Northeast. Like, you look up Bergen County and CSX's relationship with Bergen County residents. I don't want dangerous materials, hazardous materials to be shipped on the train. I don't want a double-decker train because I have an 1840 house with cobblestone and granite front and everything shaking in it. There is no public listing for how many freight trains come through this town. You can look for it yourself too. I'm sure you've looked. You probably also know that you can buy that information from the railroad associations for the corporations that run the railroads and advocate for the railroads. but I can't, I just know it from living it. I cringe every time I hear a horn go by right now because of the bridge issue. It is a safety issue. It was a safety issue in 1892 with the Exeter town people raising the issue for the rest of the select board to know. And evidently the select board was hailed as the saving device that made sure that a bridge existed in the town after that mark in history. I'm hoping that you'll keep us in mind as you go forward in your talks, because we live here. We're living right next to it. We're their neighbors. And if there's a hazardous accident in this town, we're cut off from the hospital, and vice versa. If they so happen to be on the other side, they're cut off. Their kids on the other side of the train bridge are part of our neighborhood and spoke also. But they're a part of our neighborhood if the train bridge exists and we have an easy way to access both sides. But I don't want to walk down 27 to get to school with them in the morning. Those are dangerous streets, and they have to cross the railroad tracks to do it. So there's a lot of reasons why we need to really take this seriously. And let's learn from history. I'm working with a group of people, and we're putting together a timeline of the history points of the road, the logging that happened to build the town, the initial meeting room, to the railroad situation coming in 100 years after the town was built, 150 years after the town was built. Now it's been 150 years since they've been here, and it's sad to see what's happened and how they're just coming in and saying, nope, we're not going to have a train bridge anymore. So I really don't see anything in the history of all the news, New Jersey news to here, my former home that I moved away from, the armpit of the world, to here, this beautiful state of New Hampshire, to raise my kids and buy my first home, to see it look like Bergen County and have the hazardous waste going through next to me 500 yards away. That's my public comment for today. Please keep us in your minds.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it. Anybody else? And I don't see anybody online. So we'll move into our discussion items. Our first item this evening is a discussion on water and sewer rates. We have our Finance Director, Mr. Corey Stevens, here to speak to this. Mr. Stevens.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you. Good night, girls. I had forgotten that tonight was the first evening of brass band, so I had to do driving gymnastics to get myself out and around. What a rookie. Well, good evening. You're stuck with me for at least the next 35 to 40 minutes, so I appreciate it.
It's our pleasure.
It is. Well, I'm glad you feel that way. The first item of business for me is taking a look at our water and sewer rates and considering a rate increase. You have a memo in your packet along with some supporting documentations about our proposal. To back up just a little bit, for about the last year or so, and long before that, when Mr. Dean was still here and Bob Kelly was working directly with him, we monitor how our water sewer fund operations are going, what's coming down the pike, what our rates look like, what our operating results are, and then try to do some forecasting and some crystal balling to decide where we go, if it's appropriate, with our rates. We've known that a new water plant, surface water treatment plant, maybe in the offing here in the next 4 to 5 years. And now that DPW and Mr. Cronin are working actively with our vendor to suss out what that's going to look like more tangibly, it's time for us to start looking at the reality of where our rates are today, where our rates are going to need to be in order to make that a reality for us and have it work in our operating budgets. We're not unfamiliar with this territory. We did a $50 million wastewater treatment plant not long ago, and our debt service doubled, and our budget, went up precipitously, and we had to raise rates. And we're at that point again with our water. So essentially, what we are. Well, let me take you through a little bit of our considerations. So on the water side, it is the surface water treatment plant. The idea that we may have a $40 million potentially structure that needs to be built in the early 2030s. So we want to prepare for that now with rates and not put on a big rate increase, a number of years from now all at once. So we, rapidly or aggressively move the rates up, but we don't do it all in 1 year. On the sewer side, it's, things, we've got our infrastructure largely in place. We will always have capital improvements to be made, but we have our facility. We want to continue to fund operations, continue to fund the capital projects that come up. But we also have the state aid grant that came along with our wastewater treatment plant to the tune of $18 million. We get about $1 million a year from the state, which is excellent. But that is an item that renews every 2 years along with the state budget. So there is no guarantee. I have no knowledge of it going away with the next budget creation at the state, which I believe is next year, 27. But I also don't know that it won't go. And if it were to go away, that would put a hole in our operating budget, and you can see it with the numbers that I provided you this evening in the forecast. So that's the concern on the sewer side. So we did some modeling based on, some assumptions about how we operate. A 92% utilization rate, a 4% growth in our operating costs outside of debt service on an annual basis. And we basically put together a forecast over 6 years that showed where expenses would go and revenue would go at various, increase levels. And then we decided on, a recommendation. So I'm now looking at the water and sewer utility operating forecast that we put together, the one pager. On the water side, it's really about getting to that day in the early 2030s where we have the debt service for the new plant, the surface water plant, potentially online, and looking at where rates would need to be at that time based on our consumption patterns. Also acknowledging that we do have a fund balance that is healthy, not quite as healthy as the sewer, but it is healthy, and we will use that along the way towards projects and towards bringing the new rates online when we get to the point where the surface water treatment plant is online and we're paying for it. There'll be continued adjustments at that time until we stabilize operations and can, and make it all balance. There's one other point I wanted to make, but it's eluding me at the moment. On the sewer side, again, it's really just keeping rates moving forward, moving up in tandem with what we expect to see for budget increases. Now I remember what I was going to say is that none of this modeling is cast in stone. We want to do year one, and in fact, we went to the Water Sewer Advisory Committee a couple of weeks back and shared this presentation with them, and we all agreed that, we agreed that let's do 2026, let's see how the next years perform, let's see what we find out about this water treatment plant, and we'll make adjustments to what we do with rates at that time. We acknowledge that our fund balances are, as you look at them as a percentage of our revenues, we use a general 40% of revenues should be your fund balance, and obviously, as you can see, we're higher than that, but we are also planning for this idea of a water treatment plant, and we're planning for the idea in sewer that maybe the state aid grant might not always be there. You can see on the sewer side that we are actively planning to use fund balance for, not insignificant projects, particularly in 2029 and 2030, when we tackle the High Street cross-country line. So we acknowledge that the balances are healthy, and we will use them as we, to be strategic as we roll out increases in rates and meet the needs of the enterprise funds.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Stevens?
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Please, Mr. Chartrand.
When did we do the latest rate study for
We
water?
did
and
the
sewer?
rate study. Underwood Engineering did the rate study in 2023.
2023.
And then we implemented their first year rate increases at the beginning of 2024.
But then we took a break last year.
Yeah, and then we took a break, and we haven't suffered from that, right?
No.
I mean, we haven't built a fund balance more aggressively, but we immediately saw the uptick when we raised water rates to 15% in 2024.
In 2024.
Yeah, we were a bit more conservative with the sewer fund. We did just 4% increase back in 2024.
So my question is, this is very much in line with the rate study that we commissioned in '23. This idea of slow, steady rate increases leading towards this major project on the water side and the possibility of losing state funding on the sewer side.
I think it's in line with what you would see on the sewer side. I don't believe that we had the surface water treatment plant contemplated in the rate study that we did in 2023. I think that was held out.
Well, we've always been trying to move towards a more varied suite of water resources, both ground and surface.
True.
So that was probably packed in there. And the idea that at some point the surface water treatment plant would need to be, I'd be shocked if that wasn't somehow in there.
I'd be surprised if UEI Underwood didn't know that we were going that way, but the increases they were in part of their modeling don't reflect what we've done here with double-digit increases as we move towards that number.
So this is a little more measured pace, but we're projecting forward. We're going to keep an eye on our fund balance on both water and sewer, but slow, steady increases is better than one sharp increase. And that was another thing that study said, correct?
Correct.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chartrand. Any questions over?
Just for clarification for people at home, the grant that you said it comes back up for, what's the word? Do we have to reapply or is just?
No, it's we had a commitment of $18 million when the project concluded.
Okay.
I think I remember the first year we didn't even get it. It
Right.
was like to the second year before we started getting the SAG money. And it represented about a state aid grant is, for wastewater treatment plants. It just renews as part of the biennial budget of the state. And I know that when they went through the budgeting in '25, new SAG money was shrunk down. We were part of a grant, I don't want to say grandfather because I don't believe that's necessarily the case, but the amount we were getting wasn't touched. Our schedule, our amortization schedule with them wasn't adjusted at all. So as far as we know, we will continue to receive that amount of $1 million a year.
Right, so that wasn't clawed back.
Nope.
That's one of the concerns that we had last year, but so we're okay for right now, as far as we know, until 2027.
Yep.
Okay, and thank you for catching the acronym.
Yes. I always do.
You always do. I just want to acknowledge it.
If you look at the sewer forecast and you look at the surplus/deficit, so every year we project a surplus, but it's never more than, high 600,000 in just 1 year. And if you think, well, 900, $1 million of that result is a state aid grant, we would be immediately underwater if we didn't have it, and we'd be in a position where we do need to do more than 4% increases.
Yes.
On a year over year.
Yes, and that's one of the things that I wanted to stress for people watching at home or listening is without that grant money, it could make a serious deficit if we're not careful. So, yes.
And again, we have
and I appreciate the slow increases instead of one giant one all at once. I think people are having a hard enough time making ends meet. So gradual is better. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Selectwoman Gilman, did you have anything?
No, I was going to ask a question, but I don't think I don't think Corey's the right one to ask it about water usage, water conservation versus the cost of our supply. But since we're adding so many housing units, I don't think my question needs to be asked.
So, go ahead.
All right. Okay. Did you?
What I was just going to say is what we're asking is, just to implement the 2026 rate increases, and there was a rate schedule in the packet as well. We were hoping that you would adopt it this evening, that the rates would be effective for July 1st, and what that would mean would be the first district that gets billed in October would be the first one that would realize these new rates. So District 3 gets billed in October for July through September. They would be the first ones to see this quarter, the upcoming quarter, right? And then it would be November and December for D1 and D2 beyond that. So everyone in town who's on the water would see an increase for one quarter this year, but it won't start here for another few months.
Sure.
So our water and sewer bills are always retrospective.
Correct.
They look back, they don't look forward.
That is right.
So the rate increase would start as of July 1st.
Correct.
But the bills that reflect that won't come out until this fall.
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly right.
And I'd also like to add that this was presented to the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee by you, Mr. Stevens, Mr. Cohn, and the Water and Sewer Advisory Committee did vote unanimously to recommend these proposed rates to the Select Board.
After spirited debate.
Do you want to comment?
No, we had a good conversation.
Good. Okay.
There was one member in attendance that evening who was very skeptical is not the right word, but wary. Mm-hmm. And then I felt very strongly that if we're going to go out and commission studies and pay for advice, we're fools not to take it.
No, that's a good point.
So I think it's important to always be moving forward and covering a worst-case scenario. And steady rate increases are a way to do that. Precipitous rate increases are never good for our water and sewer users. So,
and I agree.
Spirited debate.
Good. Well, that's good.
Yeah.
I mean, that's good. And I agree with that. If we're going to pay for studies, we'd be wise to take the recommendations and consider them. And I agree with what you said about slowly increasing rather than one big rate. So. Any other questions or comments? Okay. Seeing none, I think we have 3 recommendations here, so I'm going to take them up under 3 different motions. The first is I'd entertain a motion to adjust the water usage fee by an increase of 6% for tiers 1, 2, and 3 respectively, effective July 1st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion's unanimous. I would then entertain a motion to adjust the quarterly water sewer fees by an increase of 23% effective July 1st, 2026.
This is the service fees?
These are the service fees.
And this would the 23% would just be the water side?
Yep.
Okay.
So I'm going to repeat entertain a motion to adjust the quarterly water service fees by an increase of 23% effective July 1st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. And, excuse me, I would entertain a motion to adjust the quarterly sewer service fees by an increase of 12% effective July 1st, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Okay, thank you.
Great, thank you for your support with this. And I guess we would, we'll speak with Mr. Kelly and town manager, but we would expect that, we'd have a similar conversation and bring results back in a year or so and, make some determinations from there.
Sure, thank you.
So at this time, Mr. Stevens, I would invite you to update us on the budget versus actual results unaudited as of 12/31/25 compared to the year prior.
Thank you. It was actually nice starting with water sewer and not just jumping into all these numbers. As I do, once a year, I come before you and give you a snapshot of how we did with our major funds, general fund, water and sewer enterprise, and then our revolving funds, cable access, recreation, and ambulance. Once a year. So this is that review. Going forward, I'm going to try to put something together more monthly that isn't this, but it's more just here's where we are. So you have a kind of a pulse. I don't necessarily have to talk to you. Would be available for questions or town manager, but doing something that gives you a little bit more real-time feedback on how things are going. So.
Okay.
It being summer and we're talking about something that happened back in the winter. So that being said, what we will review tonight is revenue and expenditure results for all the major funds and the revolving funds, and as well as what their overall fund balance position is. So you get a sense of where the health of and you already know from water sewer where we stand, but we'll talk about general fund as well. And I guess I would just make a couple of general comments to frame our discussion. About revenues and about expenses. Our revenues are generally pretty stable. Our collections are good. Our accounts receivable are controlled, and we are generally meeting expectations on the revenue side without too much difficulty. Our general expense lines, think supplies and materials, consultants and services, everything that's not labor. We do a pretty good job of budgeting, in partnership with you all and the Budget Recommendations Committee. So I think we have that part of our budget down as well. I think in the general fund, there was only like a $70,000 variance budget versus actual for all of our general fund general expense lines in 2025. So that's pretty good. What you've seen and heard from me a bit ad nauseum over the last few years is that we continue to see surpluses on the expense side due to our labor savings. I'll call them savings. I know, Nancy, we don't necessarily like that word savings, but
it's right, because it's really not. It's just surplus because of, right?
But we continue to see staff vacancies. Our labor represents 70% of our budget. So if something is going to be a surplus, it's going to be our labor, whether it be wages or retirement costs or benefits that we provide. And this year, 2025, is just no different. So I tee up this because I feel like sometimes I'm just talking about how much we saved because there wasn't a person in the seat. And I kind of wanted to just give you that sort of, it's not much different this year in 2025 than in prior years. That's, our surpluses at the end of the day are on the backs of the vacancies and turnover that we have. So with that, I'll dive into general fund and give you a little detail on how things went. Looking at general fund revenue, in 2025, we billed just over $68 million in property tax revenue, in property tax bills. This was an increase of $3.8 million over the prior year. As of the end of the year, we had collected 97% of that 2025 billing, which is spot on with 2024 and probably was spot on with 2023 as well. We do a fairly decent job of getting money in the door. And our residents are proactive about paying their bills. As you know, town administration through our tax department is responsible for collecting property taxes, all the property tax revenue in town, and then distributing it to our various partners in the community. So of that $68 million that I referenced, about 70% of it, $47 million, goes to the schools throughout the year. $2.2 million gets remitted to the county. $3 million is allocated and retained by the Tax Increment Financing District, the TIF, and that leaves the town to run the general fund with $15.5 million in 2025 from property tax revenue. In addition to our property tax revenue, the general fund, as you know, generates income from several other sources. Think motor vehicles, meals and rooms, building permits, which is one you'll hear in a moment. So all of that revenue in 2025 came to $8.2 million. This was an increase of about $500,000 over the prior year. I actually think this is a more telling data point than the property taxes. I mean, we bill property taxes, we expect to see them. What we don't know is what our other revenues are going to be. Are people going to buy fewer cars? Are they going to build fewer houses? What's going to happen with the state meals and rooms? I gave you a number of historical grids in the report this time to show you how on the state side, our revenue has performed, whether it be meals and rooms, what comes to the state, or block grant aid, so that you have a reference point on how the state has been working with us. So $8.2 million of other sourced revenue in 2025. Motor vehicle revenue came in at $3.7 million. This was an increase of $161,000, or about 5% over the prior year. Building permits generated $707,000 in 2025. This was a significant increase, $361,000 over the prior year. As we've talked about, and you all know, the Academy is doing a fabulous renovation on their Academy Hall right now. That netted the town a building permit revenue of $375,000. So that is truly one-time revenue. Building permits, you don't know. I mean, we are, in a bit of a building boom at the moment, so we'll see where this year's number comes in at, but I might be surprised to see a $700,000 figure again in 26. Meals and rooms came in at $1.6 million, which was a modest increase of around $34,000. Our department, our revenue from departments came in at $1.1 million this year, or in 2025, about $52,000 more than the prior year. That's revenue from things like police detail, reimbursements that departments get, solid waste fees out of DPW. One area where we did see a decline is our interest income, which totaled about $564,000 in 2025. This is about a 15% reduction from 2024. I think interest rates lowering a tad in 25 and us moving some money around and not always having things in CDs may have contributed to that. Several non-operating sources that you're aware of. The EMS fund turns back about $300,000 every year to the general fund. Actually, they did in 25. It was $260,000 the year before. We tapped into the sick leave trust fund for $158,000 to cover our sick time payouts when people retire. So that was that number. And then we used $650,000 of fund balance to help us in setting the tax rate at the end of 2025. Overall, our general fund revenue for the year was $25.4 million. That generated a surplus over our budget of $750,000. So moving into general fund expenses. General fund expenses for the year were $23.7 million. This was a spend rate of 96% for the year. This is very consistent with 2024, where we spent 97% of the budget. The most important factor in these results, as I say, is personnel costs, which make up, as I said, about 70% of the general fund budget. Personnel cost savings or under budget was $900,000 in 2025. And this was due to our vacant positions and then turnover throughout the year. Looking at our major groups within the general fund, our general government group, which is made up of the select board, town manager, human resources, town clerk, and the media communications group, they represent 6% of the overall general fund budget. Total spending was $1.5 million or 97% of budget. As you may recall, we were looking for a human resources director for much of 2025. That led to savings under budget. I'm trying hard not to use the word savings, Jim, but it's terribly hard.
I know. It is what it is.
How about this? Money accumulated, but opportunity lost.
Yeah. I'd say that every time.
Yeah.
Money accumulated, but opportunity lost.
Yeah.
For sure.
We'd rather have the positions filled, but.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So human resources came in under budget 59%. We hired in October. Town manager's department was under budget, came in under a budget 95%, reflecting the town manager vacancy for 1/2 of the year. In the finance group, which is my department, finance, tax, assessing, and IT, we represent 5% of the overall budget, or general fund budget each year. Total spending was $1.2 million. We were 97% of budget spent. IT came in a little lower. We were searching for a new IT assistant for Steve Bailey. That generated savings of $43,000 between wage and benefits. In the planning and building group, which represents 3% of the overall budget, total spending was just under $750,000. Planning came in lower. It was 87% of budget due to a prolonged absence in the department last year. Moving into public safety, which is police and fire. Both of those budgets represent about 19% each of the operating budget for general fund annually. Police had total spending of $4.6 million. It's 95% of budget spent. They had some shortages, some staffing shortages in patrol, primarily about $94,000 under budget. They had 3 openings at year end, but Josh our chief has been in front of you at least twice now this year, so things look good on their end. Overtime budgets were slightly over, maybe perhaps due to the openings and people filling in behind, but obviously overall we had a budget surplus in police. In fire, total spending was $4.5 million, 98% of budget. Some savings there, but not a ton in the suppression division. Looking at public works, which we know is our largest department, they represent 24% of the annual budget for general fund. Total spending was about $5.8 million, 92% of budget. It's worth noting that there was fairly significant variation among the departments within Public Works as to these results, most notably snow removal. I'll say we were blessed with snow on either ends of 2025, both at the beginning and the end. We were fighting snowstorms. We had total spending of $474,000 in the snow budget. That was $185,000 over budget for the year. This was driven by increased uses of contractors, as it was difficult at times to pull staff back in, higher salt costs, and overtime on some occasions. Despite the fact that we were $185,000 over budget, we we being Melissa and I with Steve Cronin's input, decided not to tap into the snow and ice deficit fund for 2025, given the surplus that you will see at the end of the general fund operating expense budget. We didn't see a need to, go to that well in 2025, but we will be going there this year. We're already, tracking to be over budget. The snow and ice deficit fund is something, for those who don't recall, that we fund every year, put some money away. So for these instances where we're over from a heavy snow fighting effort in any one particular year, the fund has $276,000 in it presently. A few other highlights in public works. In administration, budget spent 67%. Engineering, both engineering positions in town are vacant and continue to be vacant. Streetlight costs came in $30,000 under budget. We continue to see positive gains from our investment in new streetlights several years ago. And then the garage, which takes care of a lot of our heavy equipment, certainly over there in DPW, sometimes in fire as well. 49% of budget spent. They went from having 2 down to 1 in the department, and then at the end of the year rebounding back to full staff at 3. So a bit of an up and down in garage, but certainly a vital department for us. Moving quickly into welfare, we had total spending of $183,000, which was slightly over budget. We continue to see our greatest demand being housing and shelter costs. That was $37,000 over budget. It's a trend we've seen year over year. Fortunately, as you all know, we have some good partners in the community that make contributions to the welfare department and the need that exists in our community. That was about $20,000 in 2025. If you take the slight overage and you apply the $20,000 we received, welfare ends in a positive position, if you were to apply it that way. Just wrapping up general fund, debt service was $1.9 million for the year. It was down about $111,000, mostly owing to retiring debt during the year. Capital outlay was $314,000, 88% of budget. Capital outlay is where we account for any lease purchases, payments we're making during the year, and any outright purchases of vehicles like police cruisers during the year. I think we just had some equipment that came in under budget and what we expected to have to pay for it, so we had some savings there. And as I mentioned, in payroll, benefits, and taxes, $158,000 was our spend for sick leave buyouts as people were retiring. Spoke about the revenue coming in from the sick leave buyout fund up in the revenue section. So wrapping up general fund, the unassigned fund balance at the end of the year we're projecting is $6.6 million. We are going through audit right now, but I think that's about where we end. So $6.6 million, we were $5.99 million, so about $600,000 increase or improvement in the fund balance from the prior year. Generally, that puts us at about 8%. If the DRA is recommended is somewhere between 5 and 17, doing calculations using last year's metrics but applying this year's fund balance, I come to roughly an 8% number. So not bad. Any questions on general fund before I move through?
No, this is very thorough. Thank you.
It is. On the snow removal, I thank you for pointing out about the deficit, but not quite needing the reserve, but maybe coming up. I was just reminded of a very small input session that both Selectman Chartrand and I attended that wasn't televised, recorded, that we might want to repeat that at some point. It kind of fell off the radar because one of our employees was out for an extended period of time after that. But for the snow removal, this is where I'm coming with this, is we might want to look at the bottom line number for next year, because some of the concerns were how people who are have disabilities with either eyesight or whatever, they're having issues navigating through downtown, and to see if we could do something better about snow removal. I'll use one example. We clear our sidewalks. The plow goes through. We clear our sidewalks, and the plow goes through again, and they can't navigate. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there. But yes, we definitely want to fill positions. So no savings, just lack of positions being filled, and we want to take care of our employees that we have and get new ones. And thank you to all the organizations we have in our area that help with our expenses in the welfare department, and Pam McAvoy, who is in communication. So, yes, thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chartrand.
I just wanted to follow up on the first item that Selectwoman Belanger was talking about. As a downtown merchant, I personally felt that interim town manager, Melissa Roy, really heard what we said in that input session and followed through on it, along with DPW and Corey, I think you were involved as well, making sure that there was resources allocated to do a better job with snowstorms and make the downtown and surrounding sidewalks continuing to be accessible after storms as quickly as they could. They really did a good job this past year. So I think that input session actually had an impact, even though it wasn't televised.
Yeah, I just, the problem was that we had a hard time getting it done as normal. I don't want to get into too much,
We
but,
did a better job this year, though, than the previous year.
okay, well,
And I think it's anecdotal.
you're down there, so you see it. I just want to make sure we're, because
No, they were much more attentive
I
to
think
following
interim
up.
town manager and
Yes.
DPW director took it too hard in terms of what needed to be done last year. My involvement was calling them and saying, hey, did you know that they missed this over here?
You experience it as a user
Yeah, right.
from the finance office.
But they did do a great job.
And you're not on the sunny side of the street,
I'm not
so
on
the
the
sun
sunny side
does
of the
not
street.
clear that snow
No, I am
and
not.
ice.
Okay, one more.
Please.
So the American Disabilities Act, the ADA fund that the voters voted for the $25,000 a year, at some point, not, I'd love to see how that's going. We're spending it, but just kind of on what, so people know? If you have that, oh, you're writing yourself a note.
I don't have that.
No, I was going to say, if you have it, I'm going to, I'm sitting down.
right now,
Really?
well-
Yeah, no, I wasn't expecting that. But at some point, it's a new thing that we're doing, so I think it would be a good update for the voters. Thank you.
I know we
I'm really
did.
done now.
We did just allocate some funds to the library for an adult changing table, so
Yes.
that was the last, I think, that it got used for, but yeah, great.
Thank you.
Well, thanks for the comments.
Want to jump into water?
Jumping into the water, yes. Water fund total revenue for the year was $5.1 million. It was an increase of $170,000 or 3% over the prior year. Now, if you remember, so 2024 was the first year we did that rate increase. We saw a fairly significant bump in that year. So 2025, we're starting to see things stabilize a little bit, and a modest a modest increase in the revenue side. Someone mentioned gallons used previously. So in 2025, 310 million gallons of water were passed through pipes or meters, compared to 306 the year before. So we had about a $4 million gallon increase in usage between years. Our largest revenue source obviously is our water rates. Our water consumption charges were $4 million. This was up about 2% over the prior year. Impact fees increased to $88,000, reflecting new development. You saw in my in-depth write-up, I gave you how many new permits we had last year, and that is reflected in our impact fees. Hydrant maintenance fees increased to $130,000, and this represents the general fund's contribution to maintaining fire suppression infrastructure in town. So what we do as part of the budgeting process with the general fund now is to allocate a certain number of dollars, $130,000 last year, as the contribution that the general fund will make to water to make sure that when we have a fire in a part of town that we need to go to a fire hydrant and tap in, that is maintained. So it's the general fund's contribution to that effort. On the expense side, total operating expenses were $4.2 million, 90% of budget, which resulted in a $474,000 under budget at the end of the year. Labor savings were $200,000 from vacant positions in the water department. Distribution, which typically runs with 8, and those 8 are split between water and sewer. There were 2 open positions. And in treatment, where they have 5, which are 100% dedicated to water treatment, they were also down 2 positions. We also saw savings in our chemical supplies, some of our utilities, and some of our consulting services. Some of the unspent, $474,000, was encumbered at year end by you folks, and $135,000 was encumbered. $36,000 went towards buying metering equipment, and another $90,000 towards capital outlay expenditures. The water fund generated $946,000 of net income for 2025, and the fund balance increased to just about $3.7 million as of the end of the year. Moving into sewer funds, total revenue was $9 million for the year, up $284,000 or 3% for 2025. That needs some breaking down. So of that $284,000 increase in revenue, $180,000 of it was operations, what we're charging folks to use the sewer system. Another $121,000 of that $284 was our use of bond proceeds from projects that came in under budget. We had some bond money left. We bring that money in to pay for debt service on the associated project. So that's something we can't rely on every year, and will go down as those funds are depleted and the projects are extinguished. And that was all offset by a $16,000 decrease in our state aid grant, which does decline every year over those 18 years that I was telling you about. So $284,000 increase in revenue, only a portion of which is related to operations. We had $6.9 million in rate charges, and we had $1 million, as I said, in our state aid grant. We also saw our septage receiving program come back online. If you recall, a couple years back, we had to take that offline for some upgrades and repairs. That came back online at the end of 2025 and generated $41,000 of income for 2025. So we'll hopefully look to, as providers hear about us in the area and start using our receiving plant, we'll hopefully grow that revenue source for the sewer fund. On the expense side, we had $7.7 million in total expenses. This was a $503,000 under budget, about $360,000 of labor savings there. Again, 2 down in collections, and then 2 down in treatment for most of the year as well. We did enlist the help of an outside contractor on a part-time basis, someone who's certified to run a wastewater treatment plant, who worked for us, and that was obviously at a premium. So some of that surplus offset by having that expertise in-house to run our plant. Debt service, you might know, was increased to $4.6 million, which was a $426,000 increase over the prior year. 2025 was the first year we started paying on our sewer siphon project. So we're now paying back the SRF loan we got there. In terms of overall results, the sewer fund generated $1.3 million in net income, and the fund balance increased to $6.7 million at year end. So again, I mean, the numbers are very strong for the sewer fund. We are looking at and thinking about using it for capital projects, but also thinking about that state aid grant and making sure that we protect ourselves out into the future. So that concludes our major general fund and our enterprise funds. I'll move into the revolving funds if there aren't any other questions there.
Any questions on water and sewer before? No? All right. Thank you, Corey.
Yep. Cable access television, and I apologize to Bob Glowacki. He wanted the conversation with me before, but I think before I had this conversation with you all, and I will get in front of him, but I just didn't have time before this. Wanting to talk about franchise revenue, franchise fee revenue. We are as you all know, we're seeing a decline in that revenue year over year. This is consistent with national trends in folks subscribing to cable. For reference, I went back to 2021. We got $296,000 in cable franchise fee. That dropped to $232,000 last year, and we split that 50-50 between the CATV and the general fund. So it's not even like cable access gets the entire amount. So cable access television's allocation of that franchise fee was $116,000 at the outset. Every time we got the quarterly revenue, we just split it in two, and that's how it came out. $116,000 in 2025. At the end of the year, we made the decision to allocate an additional $46,000 out of general fund and back over to cable access. So basically, general fund's portion, we took another $46,000 and moved it back into cable access to bolster up their overall performance for the year. They did end in a $40,000 deficit. We needed to leave some deficit. We couldn't cover it all because I also wanted to make sure that we maintained a stable, that is a stable revenue source for the general fund. We had about $60,000 or $70,000 of franchise fee revenue in 24, and I did the same thing for 2025. And so I basically gave cable access as much as we could without disrupting that revenue stream for us, if that makes sense. So that reduced the fund balance in cable access from $171,000 to $131,000 at the end of 2025. And the goal with that fund is to, or one of the near-term goals, is to be able to fund any major expenses we have coming down the pike in terms of equipment that they're going to need to continue to run their programming. So right now it's $131,000, but I think we'll have some conversations here in the future about what we do long term with the cable access franchise fee. So moving.
Can I ask you? Has there been a deficit every year? Is that why we did that last year? I can't remember the reason for that vote, but have they?
Yes. So the very short answer is yes.
Yeah.
The cable access. If we gave the entire 232 over to cable access, it would cover expenses, at least as they were in 2025. Remember, we added in 2024 mid-year a full-time staff member in addition to Bob, whose half of his time goes into cable access and half of it is in general fund as for his media efforts. Then we have part-time staff, 2 of them, and then we have on-call staff to make sure we have coverage for meetings. But if there were $203,000 in cable access expenses last year, $232, if we gave it all over, would cover it. But that would mean $70,000 we wouldn't have in general fund. That's a decision to be made.
Yeah, more of a conversation to have. Thank you.
Yeah, but it's good that we've at least had this, this background conversation.
Yeah, I'll just say, I got an email just before this meeting about Comcast planning on separating their TV and their cable, making it two companies. So I don't know, but that's from them, and we'll see what that does for future money that they send down to communities, so.
Well, for the dollars that are spent on CATV, they sure do a bang-up job with all of our media needs, so.
Indeed.
It's great to see, yeah.
They do,
Yeah.
yeah.
Award-winning.
That's right.
Award-winning, good one, they do. And that's come a long way, just not to get off the budget part, but we've invested in that department, and between the biweekly reports and events that they cover and things, it's just a great resource for our residents, I think. So I think they've done a great job.
Agreed.
Great, thanks. So moving into recreation revolving funds, continue to have strong years. Revenue increased approximately $126,000 over 2024. Interest in our programs, our camps, our sports offerings, our senior programming is just continuing to go up. We're seeing increases in our impact fees, much like water and sewer. And graciously, we've been able to tap into some grant revenue from the hospital here in town, and also from Riverwoods. It's really expanded our offerings with our seniors in town. So all good things. Obviously, with that expanded interest in our programs comes expanded costs. Programming expenses went up. Staffing, I think we're hiring more as well last year. The total, the fund generated about $125,000 in net operating income in 2025. This was pretty consistent, or almost exactly consistent, with 2024. If you might notice, on the financial for the rec revolving fund, I brought capital outlay below operating results because of the investment that the fund made in 10 Hampton Road in 2025. I didn't feel like it was fair to put that into operating results. So just to refresh your memory, not that you need it, but and for folks at home, the rec revolving fund contributed around $235,000 towards the multi-generational facility out on 10 Hampton Road. That was aside the CDFA loan of grant of about $900,000. $125,000 came from fund balance, and another $110,000 came from impact fees to fund getting the project completed. As a result of that, fund balance at the end of the year was $183,000 compared to $324,000 at the end of 2024. So great investments. Depleted some of our fund balance, but the fund, obviously is creating an income, and it doesn't seem like our offerings are going unfilled. So continue to expect good things out of the rec revolving fund. And then wrapping up the conversation with our EMS fund, I know Chief Pazan has been in front of you most recently about his rate increases and what the work he's doing there. So we also expect to see growth in the EMS revenues, but it's not because we are. I'm going to say not three times. We are seeing growth in our EMS services. The EMS department responded to 2,731 calls in 2025. That was up 336 over 2024. So they're a busy group. Revenues increased to $962,000. It was up about $100,000 over the prior year. Costs also increased. Labor rose about $51,000. Operating expenses increased about $25,000. So we're seeing, an increase in need for labor and supplies as we see our EMS out on the road more. Thought I had a fund balance number for you. EMS fund balance has also contributed significantly to a project that is about to come to fruition out of their new public safety complex. In addition to some Riverwood funds, EMS contributed $150,000 towards a new communications console for the dispatch department. That console has been constructed. It's sitting with our vendor, and once the facility out on Continental is finished, it'll be installed out there. So
Great.
Yeah, we
Great,
look
good
forward
news.
to that later this year or the first part of next. So just wrapping up and in summary, general fund, our fund balance is about $6.6 million. That was an increase over the prior year. Water fund ended with a fund balance of $3.7 million. Sewer fund ended with a fund balance of $6.7 million. As I said at the outset, our funds are operating strong, and we just need to keep working at our labor challenges. If, maybe you come up with a question tomorrow, the next day, maybe a resident comes up with a question. You guys all know where my office is, next to the chamber. If anybody, including residents, ever want to come in and chat about anything I've said or was in the packet, I'm certainly happy and encourage them to do so.
Well, thank you. This was an excellent and informative presentation, very thorough report in our packet.
Yeah, it was. The water increase, the only thing I was thinking about, and I can't remember, I think it was at the end or close to the end of last year, there was a huge water leak that our DPW spent a few days finding, and I think it was quite a few gallons, so I'm thinking that's part of the 4 million gallon increase. But I can't. I don't want to speculate too much. I know I just did, but it's something. If we could follow up with Steve Cronin, our department director, just because water and how much we're using seems to be an issue of concern across the town, and so it might be a
You'll be
good.
hearing about it in your next meeting.
Right. So if we could, if we're talking about the increase,
Next agenda.
just to make sure it's not an unusual reason, or for that. So.
And what Mr. Cohn's alluding to is that one of our discussion items on the 13th is going to be an update on our current water situation.
Yeah, that's what, it was a good idea, good timing to make sure we know what that, why that increase, if that was part of it.
Right.
The increase in gallons used.
Yeah, there was.
What was the percentage? 4 million out of how many?
310.
So it's a small increase.
It is a small.
I mean, there's growth, and then there's things like you're referring to, Selectwoman Belanger, leaks, but then there's also conservation, increasing conservation. So these things are kind of balancing out.
Right.
4 million on 310 is not that large.
I didn't see it as a big number, but it could be. It could be.
Right. I just wanted to be clear for people who are asking questions so that they know.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Yes, thank you.
And just to circle that, our request for rate increases is about where we see costs going, not
usage.
Right. I mean,
Yes.
the cost to run the plants are going to be. I mean, presumably there would be a variable cost that would go down if we were to be producing less water, but the infrastructure is still going to be there. We're still going to need
Yes.
people to run it, and the folks who are here now are going to need water, and that's going to cost us more.
Yeah, we're going to have an update, but I believe we're going to have likely some residents with some voicing concerns soon about our growth and water and being in droughts and things like that. So it's good to have that
I agree
information
with
for
you.
them now.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
If I saw, to go back to the last conversation, if I saw the
Yes.
increases,
Yeah.
it'll be a conversation.
We try very hard. We strive for transparency. So good for them to have the right information.
Any other questions for Mr. Stevens before we wrap up? Great. Corey, thank you again.
You're welcome.
Very
Thanks
good.
for having me.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thanks, Corey.
We have two sets of minutes this evening to review, the first of which is the June 15th, 26 Select Board meeting minutes. Were there any revisions or amendments? All right, then seeing none, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board meeting minutes of June 15th, 2026.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Mr. Chartrand, I think you had some revisions to the
I do have revisions to the
goal setting.
Yeah, the goal-setting meeting on June 22nd. On the final page of the minutes, and I will give this to you, Joan, I have it written out, so I'll give this to you. But I would like to change the wording on under item 2 on that final page, budgetary constraints for FY27 in the future. There's a bullet point that reads, Dan Chartrand doesn't feel that we should limit the FY27 budget. I would never say that. It should read, Dan Chartrand doesn't feel that Dan Chartrand feels that we should not reflexively limit the FY27 budget to the detriment of our ongoing critical priorities. That was the spirit of what I was trying to say. It may not have been the exact words, but if that could be, if you would all allow me to insert that into these minutes, I would appreciate it.
Great, thank you. Any other
We'll give
revisions?
this to Joan.
We'll wait for Mr. Chartrand to come back.
Thank you.
If there are no other offerings of revisions, I would entertain a motion to approve the Town of Exeter Select Board June 22nd, 2026 goal-setting meeting minutes as amended.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you. We have several appointments this evening, the first of which is an appointment to the Exeter Housing Authority for a term to expire April 2028, and looking to appoint Megan Spencer. And Megan had applied for the housing, help me out on.
Yes, Exeter Housing Authority.
Thank you.
She's on the our Exeter
Yep.
Housing Committee. And when we did the interviews, Kevin Fleming was the first applicant, and they were both great. So now we
It
have
worked out. They
an
both
opening, and it's
there.
worked out. And
Fantastic.
Megan is still interested, and I'm excited.
Good, me too.
I think she'll do great.
So I would entertain a motion to appoint Megan Spencer to the Exeter Housing Authority for a term to expire in 2028.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. And then we had 3 interviews this evening. I'd like to entertain a motion to appoint Ethan Fishbaugh as an alternate to the Conservation Commission with a term to expire April 2029.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. I would entertain a motion to appoint Ryan Kelly as an alternate to the Planning Board for a term to expire April 2027.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. That's opposed. It's unanimous. And I would entertain a motion to appoint Dan Provost to the open voting position of the trustees of the Robinson Fund with a term to expire April 2029.
So moved.
Second.
It's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. I'd like to thank all 4 volunteers, and we look forward to working with them. Town Manager's report.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. A few items this evening, some that are on the agenda and some that come in today, last minute. First one is, and it's appropriate that Chief McCain is here in the room. I just want to formally announce to the board and to the community that that the chief completed the selection process for the Master Patrol Officer designation, and that the following 4 individuals successfully met the assessment center and completed the necessary efforts to obtain that certification. That's Detective Bailey Texera, Detective Michael O'Connor, Officer Michael Ingenito, and Officer John Suglia. So again, we commend them on this achievement, and they'll be recognized as such, even on their uniform. So it's a great advancement in respect to their professionalism and commitment to the community.
Congratulations to all 4.
It's wonderful.
Next I have is just a reminder, as of next week, the new public hours open to the public at the town offices will be more uniform, and so we'll be going to the Tuesday evening at 7 and the Friday closure at 12:30, which again falls in line with the efforts that had been taking place in the collector's office and the town clerk's office in recent years. And then finally, on the agenda listed items, wanted to note the assessor's office coverage. With the retirement tomorrow of Janet Witten, our full-time assessor, we've been advertising and to secure a replacement. As of this point, we do not have a replacement officer, so we'll be contracting with MRI for that service. So we'll have a professional assessor in the building staffing on Tuesdays from 8 to 4, and then Friday and on Thursdays as well. So we'll have the staffing on Tuesdays and Thursdays, and so again, we'd ask the public's patience as during those other hours, and we'll do our best to hold it together and get that information out, and again continuing our efforts to fill that position and have coverage in the building.
Mr. Cohn, will
yes.
she be here tomorrow?
She will be in the building tomorrow.
Good.
Yes.
I get to have a chance
tomorrow's our
to
last
come
day,
and
and she
see her
submitted her.
before she-
Yep. So.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And then a few other items that sort of came in literally today, and sort of what would otherwise be a holiday week quietness. But a couple things of note. One is the planning board will be holding a public hearing on July 9th in this room at 7 p.m. on that Thursday evening. And the main item that has gone out to abutters for notification is the application has been submitted and will be heard for the 14-lot residential cluster subdivision of single-family homes at the 10.1-acre parcel at the Exeter Country Club property that currently serves as the driving range. I know people are aware of it. It's now been filed, and the hearing will open again a week from Thursday. A public health item that was noted. Go ahead. Sure, go ahead.
I have a question for the chair. We were in conversation with them about redoing their conservation easement and something else. I don't recall that we ever took that up again. Have they not reached out to us?
Our office was contacted today, and also we have to secure the agreement, the modifications to the agreement, so that we'll try to get that in front of the board as soon as possible.
Got it. Thank you. So I didn't miss that.
No. Right. No.
We haven't done it yet. Okay.
On a public health note, as was noted over the weekend, there's a positive Jamestown Canyon virus mosquito surveillance in the town of Exeter. Per the New Hampshire Department of Public Health and Human Services, this is not considered a significant concern at this time. There have been no human or animal cases of JCV, which is Jamestown Canyon virus, identified in New Hampshire this year, and this is currently an isolated positive mosquito batch from the routine surveillance. So again, we are in contact with our mosquito control contractor, and at this time there are no additional actions beyond our routine surveillance and control efforts that have been recommended. So make note of that, and again, we'll keep an eye on that as we noted during the upcoming weeks. The other thing we received as we were coming into the meeting this evening, we received notification from the New Hampshire Department of Environmental Services that the agency has approved with conditions a solid waste standard permit application to authorize a collection, storage, and transfer facility known as Solid Waste Transfer Station Resource Services of Epping, which will be located at 270 Exeter Road in Epping, and the final decision documents will be available next week through the facility's record. So again, as soon as those documents come available, I'll get them out to the board. We'll get them out to the community. I know the community spoke against that hearing in Epping, but the Department of Environmental Services has issued it with conditions. So we'll obviously see what those conditions are.
So if I could ask a question of you, Mr. Chair, do I understand correctly that the Department of Environmental Services required us to build a new wastewater treatment plant back in the teens, but they're now approving this facility in the same watershed? Do I understand that correctly?
With conditions, apparently, yes.
With conditions. Got it.
It's incredibly disappointing.
Yeah, it is disappointing. What was the point of what we did if they're now going to approve this? I don't understand. So not really a question, more of an editorial comment.
And then lastly, we received outreach today from the New Hampshire Municipal Association regarding House Bill 340. This pertains to electioneering by public employees. And I think, once again, it's one of those situations where the intent of legislation doesn't quite sometimes come up to the outcome of the legislation. And the concern here is that this may prevent public employees, such as town officials, Corey, me, board, so forth, who are basically, trying to provide information to the community and discussion of possibilities, to now be in a situation where we could have uncertainty and liability, trying to be transparent and inform and notify the public. I think the simplest words were, it will be difficult, I'm reading this, it will be difficult for public employees to determine where information clearly ends and electioneering begins. Factual information presented by public employees could be perceived as electioneering under the House bill if the issue being discussed has only a possibility of being a ballot issue. So again, it may not even have to get to the point of being a warrant article, a ballot issue, but it could be seen as electioneering.
So that would eliminate our entire budget in January, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
And
Back
so,
sheets.
and then it clearly, puts a real wet blank on any kind of surveys or questionnaires that you could do as outreach.
That's really bothered me.
So
that's how we conduct our, one of the
Public
biggest ways that we conduct our local government is through surveys to find out. Right.
The goal
is ridiculous.
It's crazy.
The lesson always over years was that, public employees couldn't advocate, for a vote.
Right.
And, and now the standard is sort of being diluted and blurred between what is advocacy and what is ordinary municipal communication. Therefore, this is likely going to increase uncertainty and liability for public employees, but also it's really going to, I think, detract from information that otherwise should be provided to the public. Again, we'll see where this goes.
We strive so hard to get information out to our public, our voters, so that they have informed decision to vote on. And I'm so aggravated.
So I think the only thing we can do is ask for the board's vote.
Well, I'd like to
this.
I was going to say, I'd like to take action and authorize a letter to the governor. And Mr. Cohen, should this come from you or from the board?
I think it has more weight if it comes from the board. I agree, quite frankly. So I would have it come from the signature of the chair. Yeah.
The sooner the better that we can get this out.
And the irony of a very partisan state government lecturing a very nonpartisan municipal government
well
how
said.
to do their business. That irony is not lost on me. I'm incredibly frustrated by this.
It is really frustrating.
The municipal government in this state continues to strive to be nonpartisan, and we don't see that same kind of attempt and reach in the state government. It's very frustrating.
Well, agreed. But my main concern here is being able to continue to educate the public, the voters, being able to take surveys, being able to, and again, in a nonpartisan way as a local elected officials here, this really eliminates our responsibility of awareness and educating and working with our legislative body. I'm very opposed to this. So in the spirit of that, I would entertain a motion that the select board send a letter opposing HB 340 to Governor Ayotte and authorizing the chair of the select board to sign the letter.
So moved.
Second.
So motion and second. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? It's unanimous. Thank you, Mr. Cohen.
Thank you.
I would like to just follow up on the
Please.
history of that bill. It came before the House last year or the year before, and it came through my committee, and we said, this is ridiculous, and shut it down. And now it came back more diluted than it had been, more vague. And so I just, to also add on to what Selectman Chartrand said, the state government is doing what they want to do without regard to what municipalities need to do.
Agreed. Thank you for that background. Mr. Cohen, did you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Thank you. That's
all right.
enough.
Select Board Committee reports. We'll start with Selectwoman Gilman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. To kick off things, the 250 celebrations are beginning. I used the restroom shortly or before this, and the band's playing, and they were playing my wedding song. That's neither here nor there. But please look at the 250 Commission's calendar. There are several upcoming things for after the 4th. I urge everyone to come to the next brass band concert on July 6th because we'll be doing a community photo. So we want everybody gathered out on Front Street in front of the bandstand, and we have a drone that's going to take some photos of the community. Yeah, and we'll also be handing out the Heritage Commission's first Heritage Award before the music starts. So that's very exciting for the Commission, and hopefully the town will. The town will go along with us.
We'll be there to support, correct?
Yes, thank you. I can't go through all the things. There's so many things in that week, but please consult the calendar, and if you don't have enough information, contact us, and we'll try to fill you in.
Thank you.
The HDC approved a building at the corner of Front Street and Center Street, where the empty lot where the Unitarian Church had been. It's going to be a residential property, 5 units, I think. And they are the applicants worked with us very well in the comments that we had to make it fit in well. And I think that is it for me.
Thank you. Selectwoman Belanger.
I had a planning board meeting last Thursday, June 25th. There was a request for minor site plan for parking waiver at 73 Winter Street. The church there, that they have a parking agreement with Shooters with Rob Ficara. So that was approved with a condition. There was an application on the agenda for Phillips Exeter Academy. That was Planning Board 26-7. That was tabled because the ZBA a few nights before had granted a rehearing. So that we'll see where that goes. And then an application for Pinecrest Mobile Home Park was approved, and that is for a building and a driveway so that they can store their maintenance and have his maintenance equipment on site. And sorry, my allergies are just really acting up tonight. And have his own office there. And there were 2 people from the public, and both supported, so that's always nice. And then we have an application for Stone Arch Development. That's Planning Board Case 2611. That's a proposed cul-de-sac off of Brentwood Road. So this is for the public to know. There's a site walk, a tentative site walk at 5 Brentwood Road at 5 p.m. on July 14th. That's 2 hours before the Conservation Commission meets, and it's a joint site walk. So I haven't received confirmation. They're putting it together to make sure it works for everyone. But if any of the public want to attend, there is parking available there.
Thank you. The good thing is you can confirm at our meeting July 13th.
I know. So that's it for me.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cowan?
Nothing to report.
Selectman Chartran.
I have 2 things, Mr. Chair. I did attend a Facilities Advisory Committee meeting last Wednesday, the 24th, at 5:30. Thank you to Town Manager Cohen for being there. We had a great discussion, update on the public safety, new public safety building on Continental Drive, and we also discussed the facilities assessment work that this committee is trying to help get moving to evaluate, where we should go, organizing ourselves amongst buildings that we have. So that was a great conversation. I also want to thank, and I'm assuming it's Jay Perkins I should thank, there was a tree that was taken out on Water Street by a moving car hitting a parked car and pushing that car over that tree and snapping it off. And there is a new tree there already. So if Jay's the one that did that, I'm impressed, and I want to thank him. If he's not the individual that did that, he is, okay. I'll stop right there. Thank you, Jay. That was fast.
Thank you for that.
Yep.
I had a Swayze Park trustee meeting on June 17th. It was a quick meeting, basically just a placeholder, things that we, it was a quick 15-minute meeting. And lastly, I'd like to just remind folks that July 11th, the American Independence Center has their annual festival. It starts at 10 o'clock. Admission to the festival is free. There's going to be some activity also on Swayze Parkway, and I think a team is also collaborating with the AIC, the fireworks that the town sponsors later that evening. And
Yes, and before the festival starts, there is that
the race.
Kids,
that too.
kids wheeled, I can't remember the name. All Wheels Parade, thank you to our reporter. So kids should bring their bikes and trikes and whatever wheeled instrument they use to the YMCA, and there will be decorations to provide, and be let off by the original horse rider from the first time the festival did the reenactment.
Yep.
So they'll be led by him. He's 50 years older now, I think. But also a warning, there's a separate road race happening at the same time. Very busy day.
Busy day, fun day, good family event. So just to remind folks, July 11th. Okay, we can jump to correspondence. We had an email thanking the board regarding the CSX presentation. And we had the presentation from Ms. Richards the same evening that the board was given at that time. And we have an email from CPCNH, which is a statement from the executive director relative to the utility supply rates, corresponding documentation, and also some communication from Coast. And the NHMA legislative bulletin. Board calendar moving forward through the rest of the summer. We have July 13th, July 27th, August 10th, August 24th, September 14th, September 28th, and we do have September 1st as a placeholder in the event we need to meet between August 24th and September 14th, recognizing that Selectman Chartrand will be absent should we need that. So, any questions on the calendar? Okay.
The July dates again?
July 13th and 27th.
Thank you.
Following along on the public comment we had tonight, we should put the CPCNH rate setting on the next agenda.
Mr. Cohen, we can take that up. Thank you.
You know what? Can I just say one thing that I should have added in my report?
Yeah.
Let's see if I can find it. Just so that people know on the planning board. Apologies. My whole calendar just went kaflooey on me. But for August 13th, for anybody following the beginning of the budget process, the CIP, our capital improvement is on the agenda for the planning board for August 13th.
Okay.
So they've got notice. Thank you. Sorry about that.
That's important. Anybody else? Seeing none, I would entertain a motion then to enter into non-public under RSA 91A 32A.
So moved.
Second.
There's a motion and a second. Any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please.
Selectman Chartrand?
Aye.
Selectman Cowan?
Aye.
Selectman Gilman?
Aye.
Clerk says aye, Mr. Chair.
Aye, the motion passes 5-0. The board will be going into non-public. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to Exeter TV. Exeter TV is the town's public and government access channels, available on Comcast Channels 6 and 22. Channel 6 is your channel. If you have an idea for a program, want to host your own talk show, or submit a film, we're here to get your content on television. On Channel 22, we bring you live and replay coverage of government meetings and other town updates. A third channel, Blue Hawk Media, is operated by SAU 16 and can be found on Channel 8, with all your school sports, events, and meetings. You can watch Exeter TV online at exeternh.tv, Apple TV, and on Roku. Find us on social media for extra content. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell to get notified about live streams and new content. Tune in to our platforms every other Friday to watch the Exeter Biweekly Report with recaps of recent events, updates from town departments, and messages from nonprofits in your area. If you head to our website, exeternh.tv, we invite you to sign up to our newsletter to receive monthly updates about new content, upcoming meetings, and more. We'd like to thank you for taking the time to watch Exeter TV and hope that you tune in to our other content as well.